In episode number 333 of the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, we cover Mark Millar's Netflix Reborn adaptation.
We also go over the teaser video that was released by Warner Brothers for The Birds of Prey.
Our comic book highlight this week is Adventure Time presents Marcy and Simon number 1.
All of this and so much more on today's podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke every single week, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I am your returning almighty Emperor Kelli.
And I am Black Belt Daniel.
Not really a black belt, guys.
Says who?
I am a white and a half belt. Did you know that? That is an actual fact.
I do own a black belt. So.
You do, but I really took karate. So.
I also took karate.
Were you a white and a half belt?
I think I made it to orange.
I don't even know what that is.
Green? Green. It was green.
Okay, good. Can you do a great roundhouse kick?
No. I can do a roundhouse kick, not a great one.
I can do great roundhouse kicks. Anyway, for those of you joining us for the very first time, the way we format the show is first we're going to start out with our news. We have our Broket block, what happened with us, our Patreon shoutouts, and we follow up with our comic book highlight of the week.
As we kick off the news this week, I do want to at least say that I'm happy that you're back on the podcast. We had some great fill-ins while you were recovering because that is the Broket core. They come forward, they shine their Broket core rings up into outer space and fill in for the Palpa Kelli. But it's good to hear you again. I know like Spoon Sandwich mentioned that, he missed the voice that is Palpa Kelli. So and I'm sure a lot of listeners did too.
Definitely thank you for everyone who filled in for me, getting your wisdom teeth removed while there isn't a lot of pain comparatively to childbirth. For everyone wondering, it is not as bad as childbirth, but there are a lot of side effects that come along with it. All of them were impacted. So I said, just take all 4, right? Do it once, be done with it. But one of them was in the bone, in the nerve. So I still can't really eat, still can't open my mouth. Woke up this morning and half my face was swollen again 2 weeks later, right? So a lot of back and forth with this stuff, but it is good to be back on the show. I've lost 5 pounds.
From eating liquids mainly, right?
From eating nothing because I can't eat. So, yep, those are some good points of wisdom teeth extraction.
Your dentist was not the only one doing extractions these past couple of weeks. There's someone else, a group of signatures, specifically over 100,000 signatures trying to extract the comic book from DC Comics' Second Coming from ever releasing. And this is via a petition on Citizens Go.
Citizens Go is a right-wing advocacy group based in Spain that promotes Christian and Catholic causes. They also campaign against same-sex marriage, abortion rights, and euthanasia.
So why is the Second Coming comic book an issue at all? For it to become a comic book issue, comic book writer Mark Russell has described the book as the following.
Quote, God was so upset with Jesus' performance the first time he came to Earth, since he was arrested too soon and crucified shortly after, that he has kept him locked up since then. End quote.
It's the world of comics. We've had worse as far as sacrilegious terms and like Jesus Punk Star, I think was another one that really took liberties with the characters in different religions. I think it was called Jesus Christ Punk Superstar. It was one of the DC Vertigo.
Oh, there's also a play called Jesus Christ Superstar, isn't there?
Punk Rock Jesus. That's what I'm thinking of. Punk Rock.
I was very confused.
But Mark Russell has previously worked on Exit Stage Left, the Snagglepuss Chronicles, and the Flintstones for DC Comics, which are both amazing comics. Even more recently, the Lex Luthor Porky Pig. So obviously, we know it's going to be a solid comic book.
Of course. You know what? I see why they're upset. I think the premise is hilarious. He's like, come on, Jesus. Here you go. Now you have another chance.
It's a good thing, right? Because all of this publicity from the 100,000, now they're writing, we're talking about it on the podcast. Mark Russell and DC and the rest are hopefully smartly going, yeah, you know what? Do you guys see this petition over here from this comic book that is releasing in March called Second Coming? You can pre-order it now at your comic book shop or through the previews catalog. It is controversial. Like, maybe you guys should buy a copy and see what's up. It is a good thing to bring attention if they're trying to sell books.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, Mark Russell is a good writer, so good on him for getting the extra attention and as a result of it, the extra sales.
Exactly like you said, all this publicity is just great for them. And, really how you protest this thing is you just don't buy it.
That's all you got to do. Don't buy it. You're not going to scare comic shops into, we better not carry this.
They should start petitioning Lucifer again so that they continue with some more season.
We need the 1,000 moms to get on this as well.
1,000 moms. I didn't know Lucifer was up on Netflix. I don't know where I've been this whole time, but it's there.
You've been recovering. You've been in a state of pain pills. That's what you've been.
Listen, I've been on pain pills for 2 weeks now. Good pain pills, though. Great stuff.
Do you want to give Second Coming a shot?
Yeah, of course. I liked Snagglepuss. We really liked Flintstones. And we liked, as you mentioned, Lex Luthor and Porky Pig. So I don't think there's any reason not to give it an issue or two.
One comment I did read was, why don't they do this then for other religions, like Allah or this? And I'm like, well,
nobody would buy it.
Well, the problem is this one's more, the Christ story is more recognized to the main market, which is, of course, North America. But, yeah, I mean, if they can sell with other religions, why not? Yeah, it's going to suffer a way bigger backlash because of it, especially if you go after, the Southwest Asians or as Middle East, as they call it. But this is the market. More people know the Christ story, and because of that, it's going to sell a little bit better.
Another comic writer that we follow pretty frequently in everything that he does is Mark Millar, who confirmed via his Twitter that Magic Order will continue with a sequel series.
No details on whether comic artist Olivier Coipel will return or release dates for this particular miniseries. I know the latest issue, the final issue, has been delayed, and the series as a whole has not been as consistent as I would have liked, especially with someone like Mark Millar, where, for the most part, the issues have been on a regular basis. With Reborn, they were coming out pretty consistently. My main thing is, if I were Netflix, I'd be like, yeah, we're trying to make a show out of this or a movie out of your properties. Make sure this shit is on schedule. It's like, yeah, I know we already bought this and you're getting money, but come on, maybe we won't buy your next fucking contract. Whereas Mark's like, you already bought it. I'm gonna get the money.
You're stuck with me, bitches.
Bitches. I think I heard it somewhere.
Why is he British now? Is Mark?
He's
British?
Scottish, I think. I gotta look that up. But
oops. Shows how much I know. Sorry. I like your work, sir. It's great.
Magic Order 2, are we in?
Maybe.
There was a pretty big twist in the last issue, but
there was.
I enjoyed it.
There was. Let's see how this last issue wraps up, right? And then we'll decide moving forward. I don't know. Like you said, it wasn't as consistent as I would have liked it to be overall from a story perspective.
Well, we've got more coming from Mark Millar and also artist Greg Capullo, as their comic book, as titled Reborn, it is available as a trade paperback and hardcover at your local comic book shop, is officially moving forward with its Netflix film adaptation according to Deadline. We didn't know.
I love Reborn.
We did not know where the film was going to land. We knew that it was just going to be adapted to film, and now we know Netflix exclusive.
I'm so excited. So Sandra Bullock is set to produce and possibly star, which is a casting I didn't know that I wanted, but here it is. Perfect. And the movie with Chris McKay from the Lego Batman movie is attached to direct.
That's already 2 big solid names attached to an awesome story. I can't wait to see the live version of when she is dying and falling through reality into the second life, into the afterlife, and you just see glass all around her, and then each shard of glass is a memory. Her husband, her dog, her father, her parents, her friend, her first boyfriend, all this stuff, as every bit beautifully drawn by Greg Capullo, and I'm sure for him to see that as well on the television screen, or hopefully they put this up on the big screen somewhere, is got to be a special thing.
Oh, I'm sure it would be to say, yeah, I helped create that, right? That's amazing to be able to see that. But those moments, and I hope it translates very well, because I'm pretty sure we were both crying by the end of that first issue. And it's the first issue, we just met these characters, and already, we felt so much for them in that moment and throughout. And he wove such an amazing story for this character. It got kind of muddled at the end, I will say that, right? But throughout the whole thing and her on this journey, and even though seemingly she got everything that she wanted, right? She still didn't get it all. She was still losing things throughout.
Yeah, the payoff wasn't as satisfying for the reader. And maybe that was something that he did purposefully, as in, like, just like life, you know, some things aren't going to have that perfect thing or perfect ending. In her previous life, she ended up passing away, and she was pretty miserable in her last couple of moments and years, it seemed like, as she was in that retirement home. And in this case, but the journey there was amazing, right? Because almost from the beginning, she has her dog joining her, and he's this amazing beast, like this polar bear thing, like a giant dog, and then her father throughout most of this journey as well. So it's a beautiful story, and it is absolutely something that everyone with Netflix should watch. More importantly, though, I think you should buy, not just go out and read at your library or borrow from someone. I think it's worth the purchase. Reborn is definitely worth the read.
There is no official release date for this movie, hopefully very soon.
Mark Millar and Capullo are set to be producers for this film, which I think is very important. And in case you needed a synopsis for Reborn, it is the story of an 80-year-old woman who is reborn as her younger self in a fantasy world after she seemingly dies. So it is the story of an afterlife, but it is not set in the world of standard religions. It's kind of Mark making his own thing where, yeah, there is an afterlife, but it's not paradise and it's not hell. It's literally a second life with all of your memories retained and everyone reborn in this fantasy medieval world.
As younger, sexier versions.
Yeah, for the most part, everyone's sexy.
Except for that spooky guy.
Well, he's the villain. He can't look sexy.
I mean, he was naked the whole time, wasn't he? So
he was naked, not sexy.
Poor villain. They always get the short end of the stick.
Here's a villain that I don't feel bad about.
Nope.
It is a villain in our world, our real world, this certain life. THR has reported that talks are now taking place, like really moving forward, for pedo perv James Gunn to direct the next Suicide Squad film that he also wrote.
Every time you say his name like that, I just hear air horns that they play at, like, sports arenas. You know what I'm talking about?
The Gonzolas or whatever they were called, like from 5 years ago?
I don't know. They just all, they play. I'm going to look up a video so that you will understand me.
Well, are they obnoxious?
Yes.
Because pedo perv James Gunn is obnoxious as
so
hell
obnoxious.
with his nonsense.
Warner Brothers has used the term relaunch for this film because pedo perv James Gunn is unhappy with things, apparently, and is reporting to use a different cast for the film to go along with his style choices.
I'll do it, but not with those characters. I want these over here.
These younger.
Can I get the cast of Shazam, please? Oh, what, like the Marvel family after they transform? All the kids only. Like, they're not going to transform.
My vision is a young Suicide Squad. We're going to call it Suicide Squad Junior.
It's going to be funny. It's going to be like Guardians. Imagine Baby Groot, but times 5. And real kids.
And real babies. No, James Gunn.
Keep them away from the Shazam set. I know we were joking last week about, like, oh, maybe he'll make a cameo in Shazam, and he's oddly attracted to Shazam because he doesn't understand why. It's like, it was just a joke, Warner Brothers. It's not a suggestion. Keep them away from all the kids on all these fucking sets.
Ugh.
Especially as a parent, I'm very defensive of it. Like, I keep, every day I look out for James Gunn just in case. There are a lot of James Gunns out there, and there is one James Gunn out there. I think I want him named Leo or AC.
He's into dogs too.
I don't know what he's into, that filthy, filthy man. Do we care when this releases? I mean,
no.
if you guys care, I'll give it for the Brokehead Core members. It releases August 2021.
We won't be seeing it.
I'm not seeing it. I'm not going to support that pedo perv.
I bet Margot Robbie's not going to be in it, so then what's even the point?
That's because she's too busy with another film, which we'll cover later on. She's got a couple movies under her belt. And hopefully Suicide Squad 2 is not Junior. I'm sorry, Suicide Squad Junior is not a part of it. That's a great name. That's officially what it is.
Think of the best things. What'd you do without me for 2 weeks?
We I thought I was going to do the heavy lifting today as you recovered, but it looks like you're doing just fine.
Yeah,
you're doing the heavy lifting yourself.
You know what's going to happen, though? As soon as we turn off, I'm going to be like, oh, my jaw, bring me a snack. But I'm going to want you to drive somewhere to bring it to me.
It's like, are you pregnant again? You should be like, maybe. I don't know.
When did I ever make you drive to get me a snack when I was pregnant?
Never, but isn't that the stereotype?
Yeah, it is. I know a lot of women who do that, who they're like, it's 3 a.m. and I need more ice cream. And then their husbands dutifully go out and get it for them. You're lucky that I was such an understanding pregnant woman. Round 2, I will not be.
There's a round 2?
Who knows? I don't know. Maybe
you should just been like, on to the next story.
I'm moving on. You know what else has a round 2? Suicide Squad. Okay. Oh, you know what else will soon have a round 2 is Aquaman. There you go. Boom.
According to Deadline, Aquaman director Mr. 1 Billion, James Wan.
Mr. 1 Billion.
1 Billion is waiting for the right Aquaman 2 script before signing on to the sequel.
Box Office Mojo is reporting that Aquaman has so far made $1.09 billion globally.
This now puts it ahead of The Dark Knight as the highest grossing DC film of all time.
Oh, but what's this? Bitches, it hasn't even released in Japan. Is that Japanese or is that Chinese? I thought that was...
then ching, 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 ching. That little wooden thing.
Okay, with the monks. I'm with you. I got it.
Aquaman is set to release in Japan, as you mentioned, on February 8th, so it has not even released in that market yet. Do you really think he's waiting for the right script, though? I think he's waiting for the agent to kind of finagle his paycheck a little bit more.
Probably that, too, but I also feel like there's more pressure on him to find the right script, right? Because
I guess. I mean, it wasn't an amazingly written film.
I get it, but how often are sequels not as good as the original? Let's not get back into this huge debate, right?
The Dark Knight.
But yes.
Although I did like Batman Begins more.
But you still have to... I'm sure they're working on the money too, but I'm sure he's still waiting for the right script because now he can sit back in his chair, right? And be like, bring me your scripts. And all these little scribes are coming in with their little scripts like, pick mine, James Wan, pick mine. And he can be like, no, I don't like your face.
I love the image of them, like, not walking up with their script, but, like, kneeling forward, like, with, like, walking on their knees.
Somebody's got to ring the gong as they come in as James Wan. But he's got to sit sideways in his chair.
And just like look over his shoulder like, oh yes, he's got a martini full of like hundreds.
Just has hundreds in a glass, just holding it.
He has a little paper shredder, he just throws one in there. It doesn't even matter, I just made 4 times that in the time it took me to do this. Good for you, James Wan.
And then he goes, and it hasn't even released in Japan yet, bitches. Just remind us all.
Do we expect Black Manta to be the main villain in Aquaman 2? Or are we going to see Ocean Master kind of uprise yet again under his rule?
No, we're not going to see Ocean Master. I think he's going to have a change of heart now that his mama's back. Unless it's somebody disguised as Ocean Master who causes some trouble. And then we're like, wait a second, you're not Ocean Master. And then we know the truth.
I think the main script should be that, and we've seen this in the comics already, where the Atlanteans and the different nations are not in agreement of this half-breed ruling or having power like he does right now. And it's going to have to be the story of Arthur kind of struggling in being a king because, yeah, he showed that he has what it takes, but now he has to implement that. And I think that's what they should explore in the sequel.
That would be really cool. Another interesting concept. And you would just be diving right in, right? This would be so cool. Where you go, where they recently did in the comics where he's supposedly dead. So you just open and he's dead and somebody else is in charge. And Mara's having to do shit to find out that he's alive.
That was in Rebirth, right? I think.
And I don't know, whatever was recent. And then he was swimming around with that dolphin bitch.
Do we get Dolphin or Aqualad at all in the sequel? Do you not? They have to do them.
Do they have to? I would like Dolphin. She's cool. I don't really care about Aqualad unless
with Young
it's their
Justice
baby.
And everything?
Unless it's their baby.
They'll probably have a baby too.
You know what would be cool? And then he's holding on to a cliff. He's chained to a cliff and he's about to lose his baby and he has to cut off his own hand and becomes Hook Hand Aquaman.
The Justice League Unlimited route, yeah. In the comics, I think someone shoves his hand into a piranha pond and they eat his hand alive.
My God. What is wrong with people?
I think I like the animated version better.
I think I do too.
It just has more heart behind it. Not even the fact that like it's gruesome. They're both gruesome. But in this one, he's like, fuck that. I don't need my fucking hand. I need
gotta save my baby. Yeah. Good for him.
As you've already seen, Brokehead Core, we've got some ups and downs in this news. We've got Pedo Perv James Gunn, but then we've got Aquaman 2, and we've got another up with Wonder Woman 1984. Director Patty Jenkins has already revealed details for the third film in the DCEU series through an interview with The Hollywood Reporter.
Of course we knew there was going to be a third film, right? There's got to be. The first one did so good. But she did say, quote, "I'm not planning to put it in the past again, because where are you going to go? You have to go forward. It's definitely a contemporary story. That's all I can say. Where we put it and how that gets figured out, I haven't totally nailed down." End quote.
You can argue that, well, you can do it in the 90s, you can do it in the 2000s, but
why
just put it in the present now.
Why are you going to go through all the decades? That's boring.
And the thing is, you don't have to do that every time. Whatever the story dictates is where you should go. If you have a good story to do it in the 90s or 2000s or whatever, fine, go ahead. But it sounds like she's like, well, let's just move forward for the third one. And from this quote already, it sounds like they're setting that up in the second film.
I think that that's a smart move. I really enjoyed the first one. It's one of my favorite DC movies that they've come out with recently. Really, really enjoyed the first one. I think 84 is probably a good place, to put the second one. Obviously, I haven't seen it. What do I know, right? But then I think the next move, yes, is definitely in the present. And you could weave in a lot of, how does she deal with being disconnected from the mascara and all that kind of... There's a lot you can do.
Are we going to get another Chris Pine naked, just holding his hand over his penis? Is that what we're going to get? He's in the sequel, right?
He is in the sequel. Maybe. Are we going to get his butt? I don't know.
Well, one of the things that people pointed out is in the Birds of Prey teaser, which we are going to cover, they show Harley Quinn in a new outfit. It's a little more revealing, about as revealing as in the first film. And obviously it's a sexy character that is all in her nature, even back when they were doing the animated series. And someone tweeted out, one of these bloggers, of course, that we know where the male gaze definitely sits in the DCEU. And someone pointed out, yeah, but no one said shit when Chris Pine was standing there naked, covering his penis with his hand, right?
It's because we all enjoyed it.
And people enjoyed the Harley Quinn thing, but why is this a problem and that isn't?
Because people like to point out shit. It's 2019, Daniel. People point out anytime you make a woman sexy, because women obviously don't choose to feel that way. We just make them feel that way. The character of Harley Quinn clearly does not enjoy being sexy. Ignore her entire background. Sorry, I'm getting riled up. There's a lot of political stuff on my Facebook news feed, and I'm taking a class where I'm writing about political stuff, and I'm getting very riled up. I can't. That's not what this show is about, guys.
Sometimes it is.
Well, yes.
Not all the time, though. Mainly we enjoy this hobby, and we make fun of those who... should we even cover Bill Maher?
Who? What'd he do?
I mean, sure, let's go into it, because we've got one news story. No, we've got two news stories after this, but... So Bill Maher did the whole bit like a month or two ago about Stan Lee's death, right? Stan Lee passed away in November, and he essentially covered that on his show and told everyone that they need to grow up because the world that Stan Lee built isn't that amazing. He pretty much brought it down to a very base level. And he did something that you can do with almost anything, right? You can break everything down and say, well, what's the big deal with computers? It's just this, and it's provided these negative things. And in the grand scheme of things, computers haven't been directly responsible for solving diseases, whatever you want to put in here. That's what he did for the comic book world. And it was a shorter segment on his show, but the internet carried it and took it, and they're like, what are you doing? He was so close to Stan Lee's death, right? And they got him on headlines. He was trending. He was viral. And he did another segment, and he's like, when I did the first one, I lost 40,000 followers on Twitter. And he's like, and I'm going to talk about it again, because fuck these guys, and I'm glad these kids, these babies, have unfollowed me. And he doubled down on it.
Wow.
And did a whole nother thing about the comic book industry and comic book, really not even comics specifically, but nerddom in general. He really went after them and went on for a longer time and just did joke after joke. And once again, he went viral and he was trending and his show became relevant. And that particular clip is another one of the most viewed. And then nerds started tweeting and talking about it and talking about how terrible Bill Maher is. And it's like, all right, look, the segment's kind of funny, honestly, like even though I'm being made fun of. And Kevin Smith went after him too, so he went after Kevin Smith, and he's like, yeah, this is a guy that dresses like a kid. Of course he's going to be going after me. And I'm like, that's funny too. Like, I can also laugh at my own, I guess,
Nerdness.
Yeah. It was a funny bit, and I told a couple of my friends, I'm like, don't post about it. This is what he wants. He wants to rattle cages. He wants his name out there. He's staying relevant. You're playing his game. And me, I'm not mad at him. I'm talking about it. I'm happy to talk about it, but I just thought that was something funny to point out, that if he does do a third segment, and he should, I think, if he wants to stay relevant, but I'm kind of staying impartial to all of this because I'm not really affected. I don't care either way. I'm not offended by what he said. So I think he should do a third one. But if you are offended, if you are triggered by what he said, don't tweet about it. Don't put it up on Facebook. Do not type in Bill Maher. And then maybe if enough people don't do this, he won't do a fourth one. That's how these things work. So now you know what ended up happening.
I didn't even see anything about it, so it shows you like how many people on my feed cared, right?
That's true. But you need more nerd friends.
I have plenty of nerd friends. They just
they're MCU sheep. There's a difference.
I do have some MCU sheep, but a lot of my friends have been posting about DC stuff. They're very excited. Anyway, I digress. That is something that I know is difficult for a lot of people, but you got to be able to laugh at yourself. Right? That just makes life so much easier. There's shit that I do that, I don't know, you just gotta laugh about it. And I'm like, yeah, I do that, and I'm fucking great because I do it, right? So, sorry guys that were offended, but good on Bill Maher. Becoming relevant.
Since the Bill Maher bit might have really kind of depressed a couple of listeners, might as well keep staying low and then end it on a high note.
We're just going to keep giving you shit, guys.
Well, this is something that really depressed me, so I'm right there with you now. The Batman writer-director, Matt Reeves, revealed, here's a good thing first, that the film will feature a rogues gallery, not specifically just one or two villains, but we're going to get a look at several villains from Batman's universe.
That's really awesome.
Pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah, we don't know who they're going to be, obviously, but that's so cool that we get to see more than one villain.
Do you think this could be like the Sinister Six movie that Sony was originally planning for Spider-Man, where many villains are going to take place or at least be an obstacle in Batman's story here?
Maybe. I kind of wonder if they're going to do like a year one.
Well, that was Batman Begins.
Or year zero? What? 0 year? Whatever Greg Capullo worked on.
Yeah, that was 0 year. But what Matt Reeves has described it as, and this is why I don't think it's going to be that, is this is the detective story. This is something that we haven't seen in other Batman films of him actually investigating something. And by the end of it, due to his investigation, he's going to grow as Batman. And because of that, this is not going to be 0 year. That wasn't exactly a detective story. It's going to be closer to what we're getting now with Peter J. Tomasi, even with Batman Hush, even with Red Hood, if he wanted to go with that route. Unfortunately, he's not doing the Deathstroke thing, which is really disappointing, and that's the original script that they had with Batfleck. But as we all know, with these changes, that's not happening. That was a script with Geoff Johns and Ben Affleck. Matt Reeves, I hope, gives us still a good movie. Of course, I wanted to see Geoff Johns and what he and Ben did, but it looks like this is going to be instead a closer to a noir film is what he described it, which is still pretty exciting also.
Yeah, it's still a pretty interesting concept. Like we said, until we actually see it, we can't really say one way or the other, because I could say, that's stupid, and then it turns out to be great. So, we'll see.
If this is a story of a Batman that is growing and learning because of this experience, it will, unfortunately, as confirmed by Batfleck himself, Ben Affleck, via Twitter, that he is going to pass down the Bat Torch onto the next generation of Bruce Wayne and not star in the film. This does not mean Batman Beyond. This does not mean Dick Grayson. Instead, this is going to be a story that takes place in an earlier time in Batman's career with a younger actor cast as Bruce Wayne / Batman.
That's really unfortunate. I would love to know his reasoning behind stepping away.
I don't fucking blame him now. Like, I know we kept saying for months, like, yeah, Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck, there's no evidence at all that they're leaving at all. And I know even last year at Comic-Con, he said, let me make this clear. Being Batman is the greatest thing to do. It is the greatest role. Was that before or after Justice League, though?
I don't remember.
It was around that same period where
Mm.
these changes in these, it was before the head started rolling at
Right.
Warner Brothers for sure. And that's why we had so much confidence as fans that he was here to stay. And something that people have pointed out is that this does not necessarily mean that he's not going to return in a future film. This does not mean that he's not going to be the kind of the beginning and end to this movie where he's kind of remembering these things, and then we get the younger Batman and the rest of it. But it is unfortunate that it does sound like that it is going to be a newer Batman moving forward with these films, because since they're no longer focused on making a shared universe in where like this whole vision fits, instead they're going, all right, let's just make a movie and go, for example, the Wonder Woman route and the Aquaman route. If that does good, all right, let's do a sequel. All right, let's do a sequel and not worry about where it fits and everything else. So this sounds like another of that. If the Batman is successful, which it probably will be because it's Batman,
of course,
there will be a sequel with this particular actor who will undoubtedly have a multi-year contract or at least an option for it.
It is a sad day.
It's a terrible thing to hear, and to have him confirm it. Fans have come out and poured love onto his Twitter feed and said, you know, you're the Batman. You have been the best live action Batman, and please don't leave. I don't blame him for what they've done now with the universe, with what they did with Justice League. I do blame Joey Whedon. I do blame the critics. I do blame the bloggers. I do blame Disney, who probably owns most of these fucking people.
Right.
So that's who you blame. And if he wants to leave, great. Like, there's a lot of people that he worked with, that he signed on with, that he agreed to a vision of, Zack Snyder especially, are not on board anymore. So why stay on this universe that you now don't believe in when they don't believe in you as that particular Batfleck? When you were initially cast, you know, all that hate that he got. So it's fine, man. If you gotta go and go win another Oscar elsewhere, because that's what he's going to do. There's going to be great things coming his way regardless. Us as fans, we're unfortunately losing what is so far the best Batman that we've seen on the big screen, with in the face of so much doubt from so many people, immediately pointing to Daredevil, immediately pointing to Ben Affleck as he is, saying this is the worst casting decision. Turns out to be the best Batman we've gotten, right underneath Kevin Conroy from the animated series, from the video games, Batman himself, right? So this is a huge loss, I think, but it's also, you know, you got to remember that we can't see into the future. We don't know what this next casting will be. Maybe he's just as good. Maybe he's better than even Kevin Conroy. Like, all of these things are always possible, as unlikely as they may seem. So yes, I will be there to see the new Batman film. And I know a lot of DCEU fans have said, no, fuck this. Like, if I'm losing Batman, then why am I going to continue watching these? It's like, all right, well then don't watch them if you don't feel that this is what you're invested in. But me as a DC fan, I got to continue watching Batman. I want to see Matt Reeves. I want to see a detective live action story. And once again, does not mean that Ben Affleck will not return many years down the road.
Exactly. And hopefully that is the case, right? That we get to see him again in this Batman role. I'm really hoping that the formula that they found with Aquaman, where they release it on international markets first and get those reviews before coming over here, right? At least with this particular movie, Aquaman, it looked like that helped make it more successful. So I'm hoping they can continue that formula, maybe ease back into the direction that they were going, because it was a direction that we really enjoyed, you know, having those tied together and the vision that they had to begin with before it took this turn to become more like the Marvel movies. So we'll see. I mean, you know, we are huge DC fans. We want to be there to support it. And maybe that's supporting it by seeing it once, and maybe that's supporting it by seeing multiple times and purchasing the movie. You know, it's just going to depend.
If they make a good film, you guys know by now how Kelli and I look at these movies, and if they make a good film, then great. I'm not concerned about what these reviews are saying. It's already an uphill battle. Go ahead before I continue.
What if they cast Doug Jones as Batman?
CGI that shit, man. Yeah, I'd be there. Cast him as anyone, like anyone in even one of those rogues characters. Who would you? Which villain would you want him as?
You know, I mean, just off the top of my head, throwing this out there, who is that giant flower man?
That's exactly who I went to as well. Mr.
Dandelion or whatever his name was.
Yeah, it was like Mr. Blossom or whatever from one of the New 52 characters.
He would be a
That'd
good.
Be amazing.
Like, nobody would fucking care about him. He'd be cool. Just real spindly and creepy.
That'd be great. Yeah, anyone. He'd do an amazing job.
Oh yeah, he would do better as like a big monster or something though.
But as I was saying before, with this uphill battle that we already face as fans, as even as the company with Warner Brothers, in which they know, well, the perfect example happened earlier today where one of the subscribers said, yeah, or maybe it'll end up like Aquaman. I forgot what we were referring to, like something in the future of the DC universe. Mm-hmm. Oh, Birds of Prey. Like, oh, maybe it'll end up like Aquaman. And like his tone made it seem like Aquaman did bad. And I was like, what? Yeah. I was like, yeah, maybe it'll make $1 billion. Who knows? He's like, huh? And I'm like, yeah, it made $1 billion. And another subscriber's like, oh, dude, yeah, the movie was awesome. And he's like, no, but I heard it was terrible. Like the critics were, I'm like, yeah, the critics were trashing it and the audiences were loving it. And it went, and then a second subscriber also came up. He's like, yeah, it was pretty awesome. It was like the cross between this and this, like it was pretty good. And he's like, oh yeah, no, I just heard it was terrible. And that's what it's like. It made $1 billion. It made more than The Dark Knight. It made more than this and this, more than Man of Steel.
It's made like $1.1 billion.
1.09, yeah, almost 1.1
Mm-hmm.
by the time we record this. Yeah, of course, by the time it releases. And he was just kind of dumbfounded, but that's the thing. That's the effect that these reviewers have on this. So it's a constant uphill battle. When people wonder why DCEU fans are always on the defensive, it's because of this. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go with this, and hopefully they do take a similar strategy, because no matter what they end up doing, it's going to be something that all the reviewers are already sharpening their knives for.
I need to find somebody to fund my website so that we can just trust people that like the same movies we do with their reviews.
It might be $1 million idea at this point, especially. Before we go into the finding news story, we talked about the Rogues Gallery. Mm-hmm. What 2 villains do you 100% want to see that we have not yet seen in the DCEU?
Somebody we haven't seen in the DCEU?
Yeah, it can still be the Riddler, because we haven't seen the Riddler.
Okay. The Riddler was my first choice.
Nice.
Joker is not on that list.
Correct.
Because I think he should have his own movie regardless, right? If you're going to put him in. So definitely the Riddler. Probably Scarface.
Oh, that'd be so cool. Mm-hmm. Scarface. Now, which Scarface? The one that we know more, or the one by Paul Dini and Dustin Nguyen?
No, the one that I mean, Lady Scarface would be pretty cool, too. That would just be like a super twist, right? Because the whole time he's talking to anybody, you could just see the outline of this guy, right? And hear his, like, craggly voice or whatever, and then it turns out to be a beautiful lady. Woo, crazy.
So yours were Scarface and the Riddler. Mm-hmm. I want to see a Mr. Freeze, because this particular reinvention started in Batman the Animated Series. And I'm actually going to go with, it's not going to be a Rogues Gallery, but Man-Bat. Like, I know he would never be in there.
Get out of here. You're done with this show.
I just want to see Man-Bat. Get
out of here.
Since I saw the Batman Forever deleted scene in which and it's not Man-Bat, but where you see this giant animatronic bat, which is taken out of, I think, The Dark Knight Returns. I'm just like, everyone in the comment section was like, that's fucking Man-Bat. It's like, no, it's not fucking Man-Bat, but that would look fucking cool. Just like that as a puppet. No, because
they would just CG him. They wouldn't puppet him.
All right, I'll go with a real answer.
Okay. Fucking Man-Bat. Get out of here.
All right, I will.
Daniel's done with the show, guys. Apparently, he's just saying nonsense. Who's on the pain meds here?
Why are you shitting on Man-Bat all of a sudden? Jesus.
He's probably like my least favorite Batman villain. Like, I would rather Sewer King in a movie than Man-Bat. You know who they could get to play the Sewer King?
Dougie Jones.
No, James Gunn.
Oh, that's true. Kidnapping those fucking
all those kids in the sewer.
Man, that's a perfect casting. That is a great casting. Why is that not happening? That's how you save and make the Sewer King. He doesn't even have to act. Like, he'd just be himself.
I caught all these kids. Leave them alone.
Save him, Batman. Beat that shit. Beat the fucking guy. Put him in Arkham. No, not in Arkham. Put him in jail. I don't think was the Sewer King really crazy? Like, I know he thought he was the king or whatever, but I'm like, no, that guy's a pedo perv. Like, throw him in regular jail.
Don't put him in Arkham.
All right, here's who I'm going to go with, because we haven't seen this villain yet confirmed, especially now that the plans have changed. Let's go with Poison Ivy. Why don't we get a Poison Ivy somewhere in this, since I guess we're not getting the Gotham City Sirens film now. So now that David Ayer is not attached.
Because if you had Freeze and Ivy, right, then you have them kind of like...
I just picked the fucking Batman and Robin villains, didn't I?
Oh, shit, you did.
But you know what? Why not make them better? Why not make them better and really reinvent them?
I'm down with it.
I went with my heart, which is Batman the Animated Series as far as Batman. And then I'm like, you know what? Let's give the fans something. They've been asking for Gotham City Sirens. We have Harley Quinn already. They're also asking for Catwoman, but it's like, let's get Poison Ivy in there, which maybe the more logical choice is Catwoman.
You know what? You probably are going to see Catwoman in this movie. If it's a younger Batman, there's going to be some flirting.
One thing fans were asking for before Batfleck, I guess, announced this earlier this week, is that they wanted to see an older Catwoman. They wanted like someone that matched, Ben Affleck's age and have like a history type of thing where right now he's kind of he was in a dark place with Batman v Superman. Now that he's kind of, making this team, or he was making this team and trusting in people, maybe he trusts in Catwoman again and they kind of reunite. That would have been a good take, but I mean, I don't know. I guess that's not happening.
I need this movie.
You just want, no matter what age, you want Batman and Catwoman.
Forever. And then they meet at different points in their life and they're in love and they like love each other the whole life, right? But they aren't always good for each other. I love this.
I think we'll also see Mad Hatter. I think we'll see Two-Face. We're going to see Riddler. Those are the two obvious, they're obviously going to be in there. Right. The Mad Hatter I would love to see. Maybe Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Fuck them.
Mad Hatter?
I don't like Tweedledee.
Hugo Strange. If we're getting a Rogues Gallery, we're going to see Arkham. Why not Hugo Strange?
Fine, he can be in there too, but I don't like him either.
Let's finish off the podcast's news bit with news that we do know, characters that are definitely confirmed to be in this film.
We did see the teaser. We did see the teaser trailer for The Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn as released by Warner Brothers.
So Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn is set to release on February 7th, 2020. So next year, almost exactly a year away. What characters did we see confirmed? We saw some pseudo costumes on them as well.
So we saw Huntress with her bow and arrow. You saw Black Canary singing her song. You got Harley Quinn, of course, who was wearing some cape that looked like bird-like feathers, because Birds of Prey. Come on, guys.
I fucking didn't even notice that. That's true. I thought it was like a boa thing.
No, it's a jacket, but then when she spreads her arm, it looks like wings. Come on, Dan. Where you been?
She's in an all-new outfit. Did you know Palmiotti tried to sort of take credit for that?
Really?
Yeah, he was saying that because of their run in Harley Quinn, that now they can have different outfits for Harley as inspired by the comics. And someone immediately replied with, did you read Gotham City Sirens? She was in different outfits then. And he's like, oh, no, we didn't get around to that. I'm like, yeah, you fucking did.
Of course you read Gotham City.
It.
Oh, my God. Palmiotti.
And someone was like, do you get a cut of this? He's like, unfortunately, no. I'm like, nor should you. Thus Paul. And I replied with that. And he didn't respond.
Yeah.
But Paul Dini should be getting the fucking... Even in the animated series, she was in different outfits. In the it wasn't Holiday Harley, but even in Holiday Harley, but there was also the one where she was shopping and she had been reformed. She's in a different outfit then. It's like, come on, man. This isn't because of the comic book. Like, I get it. You're trying to say that it's closer to what you guys set up. But if you remember also, the New 52 Harley Quinn was before his run on Harley, and then when the Suicide Squad film came out, they changed Harley Quinn in the comics to sort of match the movie, which was also a joke in the comics. So it's like, do not try to take credit for that. Like, I love you, Jimmy. I love you, Amanda. You're great, but take a step back.
Sit down.
Essentially. And the other characters we saw too were Cassandra Cain, and we got a brief look at her. Also, Renee Montoya, who was drinking a bottle of wine or rum or vodka, I don't know what, and then you get a full view of her. So I think that's Rosie Perez, and she still looks the same as what she looked like in White Men Can't Jump. It's crazy. And what else did we...
Black Mask?
Well, Victor Zsasz.
Oh, yeah.
Which you mentioned, like, he's not even bald.
He's got eyebrows.
Where's his scars? So it's definitely a different take on Victor Zsasz, but I doubt many Zsasz fans are out there
You
going,
don't know
no.
that he doesn't have all his scars, right? We only saw his face. Maybe he just has them on the insides of his eyelids like he does.
And you mentioned, Victor Zsasz as played by Ewan McGregor. We get two shots of him, one with him wearing...
Black Mask?
Yeah, what did I say?
You said Victor Zsasz.
I'm sorry, Black Mask as played by Ewan.
I didn't know it was Ewan McGregor. I love Ewan McGregor.
There's a shot of him wearing sunglasses, and there's one of him without, and people were saying, where's this Black Mask? And again, you don't pay Ewan McGregor money to have him underneath the mask the whole movie. I mean,
they made him Lumiere, and he was just a candlestick the whole time.
Big mistake, Disney. But they have the money to fucking throw around, so who gives a shit?
What would you have done if they're like, okay, But Ewan McGregor, you're gonna be yourself. We're just gonna put you in a candle costume. It's giant ass Ewan McGregor through the whole movie. Would have been a much better movie.
Probably. You got him at the end, kind of. He did, I guess he acted supposedly a lot of those
Right.
motion capture things. But for something like this, it's just like Deadshot in Suicide Squad. You don't have Will Smith and have him with the Deadshot mask on the entire
whole time.
movie.
He's gonna wear his black mask at some point, right? But
Right.
for a crime lord like that, you really kind of want him to be personable and charming and all that kind of stuff.
People are speculating that by the end of the film, he will be permanently scarred by the mask, or maybe it's a different take on it where he just puts on the mask sometimes, and that's kind of it. Hopefully they have him on in sequels, and Ewan McGregor's an amazing actor. That's a big get for this Birds of Prey film, which is kind of almost like a pseudo Suicide Squad 2. Like the true Suicide Squad 2 is what they're trying to market it at, especially with Harley Quinn in this movie.
Right. I think that was all we saw, right? Just those characters?
Yeah, and they said that there's going to be more to it. Obviously,
Of course.
this is not the teaser trailer. This is just the regular teaser video. Very different than what they did.
Teaser of the teaser trailer.
I guess so. A first look, if you will. And people have already broken this down in several bits. There wasn't a whole lot. I know Margot Robbie did put out a picture where a selfie right before they released that video, and she has a dog tag and it says Bruce on it. So that's kind of neat. It's like, do they know who Batman is? Like, are they that far into the history where we're joking Harley do know, but they don't really care?
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe.
Or she has a crush on Bruce Wayne.
She might. Or it's just a funny thing, right? It's just kind of an Easter egg for us to be like, oh, she's wearing a Bruce dog tag, and she doesn't fucking know who he is. She just found it on the street, and she's like, let me wear this dog tag, or whatever. Maybe he saved her once, kind of like in, I think it was Harley's Holiday.
I know that's not the episode. Maybe that is the episode's name. Yeah.
I thought it was Harley's Holiday. Anyway, maybe it's like that where, you know, he saves her in a department store and now she has a crush on him. And so that's, I don't know. Who knows?
Which would also tie in to Suicide Squad, where she makes out with Batman. Like, I know it's a joke where he's trying to get oxygen back in her, but she makes out with him and she laughs. So it would kind of tie back into that, I guess, that crush that her and Joker clearly have for Batman. Yeah, there's a lot of neat things here. What'd you think of the other looks of the characters? I know that's one thing that the bloggers were criticizing. Like, this is not like the movies, and this is not like the comics and shows. And
I thought it was pretty good. Like you said, it's just a very first look, right? Things could change really easily. Things could change overnight. Things might have already changed. Very preliminary. So it got people excited for it. It got people talking about it. You know, my Facebook feed blew up about that, right? Look at all these cool things. So excited for Birds of Prey. All this stuff got people talking, and that's what it was meant to do.
It definitely lit up the internet way more than like a lot of these recent teasers or even full trailers like Captain Marvel. That's what DC fans have made that comparison of, like, Brie Larson ready to break the internet tomorrow, and then the next day nothing happened. And now, like, Margot Robbie snaps a selfie, you know, a 10-second little teaser thing, and then boom, the fucking internet took off with it, and it was amazing. Seems like there's a lot of reception for Birds of Prey, mainly positive, especially from a lot of the fans. And the worst thing that they have said, of course, is that the bloggers, the costumes don't look like the comics and Hot Topic the movie. And it's like, yeah, you said that for Suicide Squad already, and that made a shit ton of money. Relax. Things will be well. I know this does have a lower budget than Suicide Squad. I'm sure that has a lot to do with the fact that you don't have a guy in a giant crocodile costume. You don't have the Enchantress, which required a lot of special effects. You have a very low-level, street-level type of villain with black mask. So, and then some great talent behind it, too, with a lot of this cast. I think it's set to absolutely not only make its money, which we knew it was going to do, but now the profit margin is that much larger.
We're really excited for this movie. Like I said, this very first teaser got me very excited, got lots of people excited. I'm sure they'll release more soon, and, you know, we can't wait for it to come out.
With all of our news out of the way, let's head into the Brocat Block, which is where Papa Kelli and I have been this week. I know you touched on it a little bit near the beginning on what the recovery has been like. You said it's not as bad as childbirth, but the wisdom teeth removal, is there anything else you can give as far as tips to other Brocat Core members that might eventually, maybe myself, go through this in the next couple of years?
If you're going to get them done, just do them all at once. Get it over. I can't imagine having to go through this again. And it's not really that it hurts. Like on a scale of 1 to childbirth, the worst that it was like a 3. And granted, I take meds every day, right? I still take, and I'm only on ibuprofen, but I take 800 milligrams of ibuprofen every day while I'm at work, just to make sure it doesn't hurt. But it's just a long recovery process, especially because you got to think about how much damage they do. They damage the nerve. Half my lip is still numb. You know, they got into my bone, so I can only open my jaw enough to fit one finger in between my teeth, right? That's where I am right now. So you can't really eat a lot, and it's just uncomfortable is really what it is. But I know that someday it's not going to hurt, right? It won't be that much longer, and it won't hurt anymore. And it hurt prior to. So like I know you mentioned the last few episodes, my pain was never really worse than it was before I got them taken out, because they were pushing on all those nerves and everything. But it's a major surgery. They cut 4 things out of my mouth. And it's hard when it's your mouth, because you use that for everything. I got to use it to talk and to chew and to drink water. And, you know, there's no way of getting around that. And then it takes forever to heal. And it's just a pain in the butt. But I'm happy to be back on the show. I'm happy that I'm mostly healed.
You're on the upswing for sure.
I am on the upswing. If I didn't wake up with like a half swollen face, which I'll post a picture of soon enough.
There you go. You also got to get some time in to this, very careful again, as I mentioned last week, but they ended up selling, it's either one of 2 things. They sent us a bootleg copy of Kingdom of Hearts, because on the menu and on the disc and on the case, it says Kingdom Hearts 3. They didn't even put the of on there, or it was a very rushed product, so rushed that they didn't even get the title right in all of these marketing materials and the game. So it's like, whatever you guys, I don't know where you guys sit on this, bootleg or rushed.
Or like real, maybe, and not your...
What a sad reality.
Not your fake news game.
What'd you think of the Kingdom of Hearts 3 so far in the roughly hour-ish that you've put in it? And I've sat and watched this too.
Do you want me to give spoilers? I mean,
there's not much to spoil.
Sure, there's really not.
Within an hour.
If you guys really, really don't want to hear it, you can skip forward a little bit. But
it's not even, it's just the first world.
Not, right. And the opening sequence. So we get the opening sequence, which is a recap of everything that happened up to this point, right? Forever long. I thought my controller was going to turn off because it was forever long. And they recapped it all. But I didn't feel they did as good of a job as they did in the second one. Do you remember when they recapped in the second one? In the very beginning, you had that great song, and it was only 3 minutes. This was like 10 minutes of recap with people playing chess. People I don't know. They've been in previous games. Whatever. Don't know them. Playing chess. Okay, so we got through that. And then we go back to them playing chess. And they're talking about bullshit. And then we get the actual music video, which is what I've waited for forever. And it wasn't that good. Comparatively to the last 2 songs, which were fantastic. This one really wasn't that great. Anyway, it has a lot of nods to the first one. So, like, the save, or the opening screen, right, is just an older Sora that we saw in the first one, that drawn one, holding the Palpu fruit.
It's probably the same artist.
It probably is. So we get that. We get him fighting that big blah, blah, blah guy on the
Digimon.
Yeah, the big Digimon on the stained glass, which is what I wanted and expected. And then we go through all that, and I chose Defense just for you.
Wow. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, I did. I chose Defense, and then I chose the Strength one.
No magic.
No, fuck magic. I don't even know how to scroll down to get it. No, I just tack things. And they're like, but Kelli, it's easier if you douse them with water. I don't care.
I'm going to hit him with this giant key.
I will say that I think they could have done a little better with the very beginning of the game. From what I've pieced together, the premise is something happened. Sora wakes up and he lost all his power, right? Because they're trying to explain why was he so powered up when you finished the last game and now you're kind of back to 0 and having to restart. One, I don't think you really had to explain that because we don't fucking care.
Game.
Right? It's a game. We get it. But regardless, they still could have explained it better because you just had cross-eyed Yen Sid yelling at Sora about something. And I'm like, so why does he have no power? Very confused. They never really explained it.
They don't explain any fucking thing in these Kingdom of Hearts games. All this shit is confusing.
Calm down. No soapboxes. I'm telling my experience. This is about me.
I'm pseudo defending the game. Like, none of this makes sense. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So we open with, we're going to Olympus, not the Colosseum, actual Olympus. So they turned it into a real world, which is pretty cool. But Hades and Herc look like shit.
They sound like shit too.
Yeah, they do. So overall, I feel like they had 10 years to give me a great game, and I haven't seen it in the first hour.
My favorite part was when the title screen comes on and it says Kingdom of Hearts 2.9 or 2.8. And I'm like, these motherfuckers, the game hasn't even released yet.
It said 2.9. Yeah, how fucking hilarious. I mean, people have probably already beaten the game, but if they were still working on the game, they're like, just send this and we'll send it download.
And at the end of the game, it says Kingdom of Hearts 3 coming out soon. And it's like, you've been playing 2.9 the whole time, motherfuckers.
Bitches.
Like, I know at some point they'll probably say, there's going to be a true opening and they'll say Kingdom of Hearts 3, but I thought that was so fucking funny. Like, that would have been great if it was 2.9 the whole goddamn time.
That's terrible. Why would you wish
hilarious.
That upon us?
One thing I've noticed from the bigger Kingdom of Hearts fans, which are Lazy Gaming guys, friends of the show, they've been on before, and they've also surprisingly been, well, at least Scott has been, like, more even balanced on his opinion, whereas I thought they were just going to think, because Kingdom of Hearts fans were going to go one of two ways. They were either going to excuse all of the missteps in this third game because they've waited 10 years and it has to be a great experience, or it was never going to be good enough because you've waited 10 years, over a decade, for this particular game. So it was going to go one of two ways, and it looks like with LGG it's a little bit split. I think this is the best way I can summarize it. It is a good, it's an okay game. It's a good game for a Kingdom of Hearts fan, not a great game. It's a good game for Kingdom of Hearts fans, but it's just an okay video game overall. One thing I've noticed is obviously there's a lot of texture issues. The shadowing is terrible, but graphics is one of the last things I look at. The gameplay, from what I've seen you play, is a little bit choppy. It's not as smooth as you've gotten in, for example, Dream Drop Distance, which from the looks of this, I think Dream Drop Distance is going to be still my favorite Kingdom of Hearts game. And even I've seen online that Kingdom of Hearts 2 is a better one than the third one. And I know the voice acting is not sharp at all. It is very rough. And
even Sora, I'm just like, really? I gotta listen to him for this whole game?
It is some of the worst in the series. And it's like, all right, well. And then the translation from script that they've gotten from Japan over to gotta say it like Scott. Over to North America, it seems like they just translated it instead of actually localizing it. And that's something I said on the Discord too, is it's like, no, have someone that puts it together so that it makes sense in North America as well, or in the South America, or wherever. And it seems like they just went, no, just translate it. It's fine. Read the lines. And something that LGG pointed out is a lot of the original voice actors from 2 and 1 who originally returned did not come back for 3. So they just went, yeah, just get someone that kind of sounds like him, fine. And overall, it sounds like this could have done well with another 5-10 years of delay.
I won't say 5-10 years, but yes, it does feel, at least in the first hour that I played, and we're only on the first world, right? I'd like to get a little bit further in it, but it does feel like they rushed it just to get it out because people have been waiting 10 years and we got to get it out, which I get. But again, as we've always said, yes, you're going to delay it and people are going to be pissed off, but better you do that and release a better product than not and rush it, and this is what we get.
The problem is this was always meant to be a game that released in the year 3085, and instead we're getting a product that's like not even finished, so take that as you will.
I will say I think some of my disappointment with it, and I don't know, I haven't played the other two games in a while, but the other two games have so much nostalgia for me, right? They have playing for hours after school and that feeling of accomplishment when you beat certain levels. And now when I play this one, I'm like, okay, how many minutes do I have until bedtime? Am I going to make it to the next save point, right? So I have a different feeling going into this than I did with the originals. So ultimately, even if this was a fantastic game, I don't think it's going to live up to its predecessors because I'm 10 years older. I'm at a different stage in my life. There's, I don't have time to just play games. we're going to get done with the podcast. And whereas before I would stay up for another 3 hours playing, I'm just going to go to sleep.
Well, that's another thing that I think even objectively, though, we can look at this. And as gamers now that we've had 10 more, even as little as we play, we've had 10 more years of gaming experience since Kingdom of Hearts 2. And I'm looking at this. I don't know if it was the way you were controlling it or not, but I'm like, the camera kind of still sucks. Like it's worse than it was in Dream Drop Distance.
It still does what it always did. So it doesn't bother me because that's what it always did.
But it was improved in the 3DS version. Like, that is my favorite one. It's like the it's the sharpest game. It's the most tight in mechanics.
And it had frogs.
And it had frogs, and it had the Pokemon and all that, which was amazing. But even like the level system was awesome. The sliding mechanics that does return here, but it's not as prevalent as in the old ones, is still here. But the other thing I noticed too is this is way more cinematic than it was a video game. Something that Scott pointed out is if it weren't for the long cutscenes, and he did point out, he's like, there's a lot. They're so
long.
He's way further. He's probably beaten it by now. He said there's so many cutscenes in this that the actual amount of time you play, it's a very short game.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it even in that hour that I played. We're at what, 30 minutes, 45 minutes cutscenes? Because every time you step into a new part of the stage, you got to have a cutscene.
And the other Kingdom of Hearts games were like this, but it wasn't 15 fucking minutes of this other goddamn guy talking and this other... I don't know, man. Like, I'm not even that big a fan, and I'm
let's
like...
Let's play chess so darkness can prevail. I don't know. Light might make it happen. I don't know about light because I only like the darkness.
Like, I don't know if I have nothing against the Kingdom of Hearts franchise. Like, again, I love Dream Drop Distance, but I'm not the only one. Cuban Slim was like, I want to sell it to someone now for $50 and just say I lost $10 on these 4 hours of it. I heard like the gummy ship portions are awful.
I fucking hate the gummy ship. I haven't even played it in this game and I already hate it. I liked it in the second one where you got in your ship and then you just teleported places.
I don't know. I know the Lazy Gaming guys have suggested a lot of very specific patches to Kingdom of Hearts 3, and I'm looking forward to having late night dinner, I guess, with Scott, or just meeting up with him to hear everything he has to say and to hear it on their stream as well. But if you guys enjoyed Kingdom of Hearts 3 or Kingdom Hearts 3, this weird whatever it is, the bootleg or this rushed
or
version of it,
2.9, whatever.
2.9, yeah, that's what I'm going to call it. Then let us know, I guess, on Twitter or on our Discord channel, and we'll let you know, I guess, as we progress, as Kelli progresses on the game, and as I finally get my hands on it and start playing, what our thoughts are, and if it improves as the game continues.
But that does wrap up what happened in our week this week. Our week, personally, very slow week for us. But before we get into our comic book highlight, we do have our Patreon shout-outs.
First one this month goes out to Alexander on Twitter at Swordfish Show. You can also head on over to purpleswordfish.com and it will take you directly to his YouTube channel. He's actually been mixing it up on his live streams and started playing more Forza gaming.
What's Forza?
It is
race cars?
Yes,
cool.
It is a racing game, and it's a gorgeous looking game. It's one of those things where I haven't played a racing game since Need for Speed. So when I was watching him stream Forza for the Xbox One, I was like, holy shit, like this is ridiculous. How
Can you have a Tesla?
That's a question for Swordfish. I don't know.
Alex, can you have a Tesla?
I don't know if they're racing cars.
Text me Tesla yes or Tesla no.
Next shout out goes out to Lourdes and Katie. And Katie's been keeping up with the Life is Strange comic book as based on the hit video game. It's actually been doing really well at the comic shop. It's selling more than God of War.
Wow. I didn't even know Life is Strange was a thing.
I think it was a downloadable only game, but it's kind of like a choose your own adventure thing where based on what path you take, your best friend kills herself or she doesn't. Like it's one of those games.
Whoa. Our next shout out goes out to Bobby, whose Twitter handle is at Cuban Slim.
Bobby, of course, helped us out last week on the podcast while Kelli continued to recover.
Yes,
thank you so much, Bobby, for not only being a Patreon backer, a Funk Meebo, a friend, and also a great host on the show, but for helping out Palpa Kelli as she recovers and continues to recover through this wisdom teeth removal.
And our final shout out goes out to Neil, whose Twitter handle is at Inmats68.
So Neil and Nick James made a connection on Twitter, as it turns out that they both went to Wilkes University.
Small world.
That's exactly what Neil said. Yeah, small world.
Yeah. It's really interesting when you start talking to people, like, and you find that you have those connections with them.
So thank you so much, Neil, Bobby, Lourdes and Katie, and Alexander for your Patreon support. If you too would like your shout out, head on over to patreon.com/thereasonsimBroke. No matter what tier you choose, those backings go right back into the podcast. That helps us in our month-to-month costs, and you get your shout out every month.
But of course, our podcast will always be free. The best thing you can do for us is leave us a review on Twitter, leave us a comment on Twitter, leave us a review on whatever podcatcher you choose to use. That helps other people find us. Takes a very short amount of time, right? And then, of course, tell your friends. If you're like, yeah, they liked Aquaman too, or they like all this nerd stuff that you're talking about, send them on over our way.
Yeah, the word of mouth is a huge thing for a lot of listeners and for a lot of growth for podcasts. So we really appreciate that. Huge thanks to Jose on decalavenue.com as well for the help at the $5 reward tier. And finally, this week, we're going to promote our Discord lounge.
Discord!
You can find the link in today's description of today's episode, and we often push it on Twitter, but you can also find the link at thereasonsimbroke.com. You will find many Brocat Core members on our Discord as we go day to day and go in there with chat and discuss the latest news as well.
But now that we've recognized some of our amazing patrons that help us make this show a reality, we will move into our comic book highlight of the week.
This week, we've got an all-new number one from Boom Studios with Adventure Time presents Marcy and Simon, number 1 of 6.
This is written by Olivia Olson with art by Slim Fabert, and the colorist is S.J. Millar.
This obviously takes place at the very end, after the final season of Adventure Time, as seen on Cartoon Network. And when we saw it in the previous catalog, I think we might have covered it on the podcast. We love the premise of this is Ice King dealing with the fallout of he is no longer with the crown. He is sane again, but he has the whole kingdom of Ooh pissed off at him.
Why? He's just Ice King. He's this crazy old coot.
Didn't he like murder people? I don't know.
Probably.
He stole a lot of princesses and ruined their lives.
So now he's going around apologizing to everyone. Marceline is going along on the tour, but we find out at the end that things may not be what they seem.
Being that the Ice King is our main hook with the Adventure Time universe, this is exactly the kind of book that we wanted. We'll take an Ice King ongoing, and when those comics were coming out, we were buying all of them, the Ice King miniseries, and in this case, this is yet another one. But it seems like not only are we exploring the new relationship between Marcy and Simon as what I view as a father-daughter relationship, because he cared for her like a daughter when they were going through that post-apocalyptic period where she eventually turned into a vampire. But before that, he was just trying to protect her the whole time. And now they're kind of mending that relationship again after so many, what seems to be years of them not seeing each other as they've known each other.
There wasn't quite as much heart in this issue as I was hoping to see. You do get that really great moment where, he gives her back the bear and apologizes for everything. I'm hoping as we progress, of course, it's just a miniseries, but as we progress, we get to see more of that heart. Because like you said, Ice King is really our favorite character, and the tragedy of everything that he goes through is really what keeps us coming back every single time. And the fact that Marceline loves him and is there for him despite all of that, it just gets me right in my heart. So I'm hoping that we get to see more of that. I did really enjoy the moment with LSP in this, though, where she's like, I kept trying to get you to want me. And Ice King was just having none of it.
Yeah, I do like the also kind of cliffhanger-ish ending with the first issue in which things aren't, as you mentioned, as they seem. So we are going to get a deeper fallout with Simon in which he's not completely out of the woods from this particular curse that we know from the many years of Adventure Time. So I'm excited to see where the next 5 issues go. And I'm just happy that we're getting more on the Ice King story that we're no longer getting from the cartoon.
If you're a fan of Adventure Time, if you're a fan of Ice King, I think I would definitely recommend this first issue. It looks like it's going to go in a really great direction.
Even Marceline, if you're a fan of Marceline, because she is a big part of this first issue. So yes, it is very well in that same universe in Adventure Time. If you want to read more, if you want to see that universe continue, this is where you want to go. So we do recommend Adventure Time presents Marcy and Simon, number 1 of 6.
But with that, guys, we will wrap up our podcast for this week. It was so good to be back with all of you.
Yeah, thank you, Kelli, for toughing it out as you recover. I know I asked you several times, like, are you sure you're going to be good? Because if not, I can reach out, whatever. And you made it on. You made it back.
You better believe as soon as you hit that unrecord button, I'm going to be asking for my ice cream from Chick-fil-A. But I'm happy that I could be back almost completely out of the woods. So hopefully by next week, all will be well with me.
There you go. So thank you so much, Brokehead Core members, for tuning in every single week and for your support. I am Black Belt Daniel.
And I am your Emperor Palpa Kelli.
And Brokehead Core, all will be well.